Welcome to the 2020 NBA Draft Remote Film Room. In light of these unprecedented times and the uncertainty surrounding the NBA draft process, we've created a platform for draft prospects to express what they bring to the table and how their game will translate to the next level. Our first guest is his program's all-time winningest player and three-point record holder, earned first-team all-conference honors, and was one of the most productive players in college basketball this season. TCU's Desmond Bane. What's going on, Des?
What's going on, man? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Happy to have you on as our first guest here, and hope you're doing well during these uncertain times. Just wanted to, give you a chance here to talk through some strengths and some improvement areas in your game. So, as everyone knows, you tested the NBA draft waters last year. You were an absolute standout at the 2019 PBC. You got some feedback from NBA personnel, and it's very clear that you've taken that feedback and applied it to your game. Had a hell of a season, hell of a college career. And without further ado, let's just dive into some of this tape, talk through those strengths and improvement areas I was alluding to on both sides of the ball, and ultimately go into how your game translates to the NBA.
Let's do it. Sounds good.
All right, so we're going to start here with what I feel has been your biggest improvement area this season in pick and roll initiation. So we've got this possession here. You start into your pick and roll. You're making a read of the defense. You want to maybe talk through what's going through your mind as this is developing here?
So leading up to play in Iowa State, I mean, we check their ball screen coverages, and they do a lot of weak side tagging. So I'm watching Jacobson here. Guarding Deontay rolling up the floor, and I see that he's not in position. He should be under the rim next to the restricted area arc. And so I know that Kev's going to be open. He just needs time to roll. So I think if you can play this clip a little farther, so I fake like I'm going to throw him the lob to raise the big up and then throw a bounce pass for easy.
Yeah, and I think that's some great manipulation of the defense there. And as you can see, up here, this guy, given that fake, is a little bit late to come over and help into the paint as well. And you deliver an on-time, on-target pass here for the easy lay-in. Great read on that one. Now we'll pop over to another pick and roll here. Starts to develop similar start here, and you make this beautiful touch pass over the top over West Virginia's Oscar Tshiebwe. Let's start that one again. Pop up from the wing, get the handoff, initiate the pick and roll. So what's going through your head on this one?
So with that little mini jab step that I use right there, I engage the big. And as soon as the big engaged, Kevin had great alert and awareness and started rolling to the rim. And, I mean, as you can see, West Virginia denies all over the floor. So I knew he would be open once he had a step on the big. So I just tried to place it up over top, a place he could get it, and Tshiebwe couldn't.
Yeah, and that's a hell of a pass that's going right over top of an ultra-athletic, huge, big, perfect touch on it for the easy layup. This one here, we see you're making a read where you're kicking it out back to the opposite corner for a three. So you start initiating to the left this time. You see the guys in drop coverage here. So you have a little bit of room to operate with here up into the elbow. We'll let this play a little bit further. And what I see, you got a little bit of an in and out hesitation there.
Yep.
And what's your read in this situation here?
So it was just enough to make the big commit. So now I got a 2-on-1 on that backside. Kevin rolling. I was really reading 20 under him. And he's all the way under the basket. So I knew RJ would be open. I was just waiting to see if he was going to stay there and honor Kevin or take RJ. That's what that little hesitation allowed me to make that read.
Yeah, exactly. And that's such, a little thing, but makes such a huge difference in it opening up those options for you. See, this guy's really trailing behind at this point. So I believe this is Xavier Sneed down on the block down here. Really has to, lean into here, or you would dime up your big for an easy dunk. But you make the appropriate read here, kick it out to the corner, wide open three. It's just a hell of a read and a great improvement in your game this year. So let's move over to here in this game against Kansas State again. This one, just an insane zip pass over to the corner, left corner this time. So let's maybe watch this one develop again and maybe talk through what you're thinking at this point right here when you're about to make this pass.
Same similar to Iowa State. Kansas State had weak side tags really hard, and I knew they were dropping and showing. And Ed was open right away, so I just tried to get off of it as fast as I could off a live dribble, and skip it to the corner for the three. Didn't allow the defense to rotate back.
Yeah, and as you can see, I mean that's a high level pass, man. I mean, one hand right into the shooting pocket, cross court. Just a really great read there again, and definitely something that I could see translating to the NBA and a role as a secondary playmaker. So here we've got one against George Mason. So this time you have the big coming out and hedging on you here. This one, you're not necessarily, diming someone up, but another element that I've noticed in your pick and roll game is your ability to kind of freeze and manipulate first the on ball pick and roll defender and then the big that's hedging on you. So we'll let this one play and see how you bring it into a pull up three. So if we start that one back, you want to maybe talk through what your read in this situation is and how you got yourself open for this pull up.
Yeah, so late clock they usually do switches. So they'll switch the ball screen when it gets a late clock, and it was the end of the half, so I was expecting a switch. And the defender was, like you said, he hedged out. He was right in front of me. So I was waiting to see what he did, and as soon as he dropped back, I was actually looking at 23 Roland, our big, Jaden Ladivo. And I think the guard thought I was going to make the pass because I just froze. I wasn't even looking at anything but 23, and then I just got into my shooting motion, was able to knock it down. He didn't have his hands up, so I just let it go.
Yeah, and you see, if once I play this again, that little freeze of the big starts recovering back to the paint. 23 is not open. You don't force anything, and then you're able to get the guard to just back off you enough to pull that up and have the quick trigger release to make it happen. So all in all, your ability as a pick and roll handler, feel like you have a diverse skill set there. Before, you've always been known as a 3-point shooter, right? 43% for your career. Always been able to knock those down, but now adding the passing element to this pick and roll creation is a huge improvement in your game as you look forward to the pros. So now we're going to transition over to a potential area of improvement for you. And this is going to be driving and finishing in the paint, and specifically, looking to create contact and use your physicality to your advantage. So let's start this one up here. See, we've got a little bit of a secondary break situation going on here. Nice little move to get by the defender. And then you kind of, pull up into your drive from a little bit far away and try to float up in a little bank shot. Whereas you might have been better served in this situation to, use your strength. You're built like a brick shit house. You might as well just get into them and use that physicality, draw some contact as opposed to leaning away.
Yeah, no question. That's something that our coaches have been on me about a lot. Finishing like through people instead of trying to go around people. And I believe in that case, that's something I definitely could have done, or at least got to my left hand.
Yeah, exactly. And we know you're capable of it. You're an explosive athlete. You're really strong. It's just a matter of, in the heat of the moment during the game, knowing that you can take advantage of that. So this one will move over to a game against West Virginia. You have a nice little cut here to initiate everything. We'll let this play, start driving to the left, and then Shibwe kind of comes over and helps a little bit. And it seems like you kind of try to force this one up a little bit quickly with your inside hand here, knowing the rim protection's coming. Similar situation, maybe could, gather into, like a explosive jump stop or something right there, go up through Shibwe, get him in some foul trouble, get to the line where we know you shoot 80+% consistently. And I think if you can get to the line more frequently, I think your free throw rate might have been in the teens this year. If we could up that a little bit, you'll even become all that more efficient. Next one here, we've got game against Baylor. Get this ball out on the wing here. Nice little pump. You get your drive going. And again, This time you use your left hand this time, but you're still a little bit far away from the rim. So it's a little bit of an awkward, tough look there. Whereas if you got in maybe one more dribble or got into the paint a little bit more, could use that physicality to your advantage on your way to the rim. Here we have Kansas State again. This time we're getting into your defensive strength. So this is just an incredible block here. Let's run that one back again. So they initiate a little bit of a pick and roll action up here to start. You make your way over the screen really nicely here. Your guy does, get into the dropping big here, gets him to back off a little, thinks he's going to pull up for a nice, easy mid-range. And to me, this is pretty reminiscent of Matisse Thybulle and how he stood out last year at Washington, getting these sort of unexpected come from behind blocks. And that's just a great effort play there for you to get back in and start a fast break opportunity. This one right here against UC Irvine, we see that you're going to match up with this guy on the wing out here. They start with a pick and roll look. He drives baseline, shot clock's running down. You're obviously well aware of that, and you force him into a really tough baseline pull up shot clock violation. Just really, textbook strong on ball defense there. Here we got one against Lamar. We see you're sort of switched onto a bigger guy right here. You're able to stand your ground, maintain your verticality, and use your physicality to, just in this instance here, hold up in the post, force him into a longer than he would like sort of push hook shot. And, that's a tough look. And when you're switched onto a big, that's all anyone in the NBA can ask from you, is to hold your ground in those sort of situations. So I think that it's promising that, in a switch heavy NBA, if you get matched up onto a 4 at some point in time, you're able to handle that. And even if you're on an island, force them into a tough look. Got one more here. We're on to Kansas. See you force them to the right here. You're able to slide your feet, maintain your position, and ultimately you get the block here by sticking with them, getting your left hand up in the air on a right hand drive, which is ideally what you'd like to do. Get the block right there. And now this one here is going to be against Texas Tech. You're matched up against Ramsey here, who's a projected first rounder. You're just isolated out here. They're looking for Ramsey to sort of self-create here and put you on an island. And, playing good defense isn't always about picking up steals or blocks, but oftentimes forcing guys into an inefficient shot or a tough look, right? So if we let this one play, you're down in a good defensive position, slide your feet and get a nice hand here on a tough pull-up mid-range shot. And in the NBA, there's a lot of really talented scorers and shot creators. A lot of times there's, nothing you can do if they make a tough shot, but the best thing that you can do over time is force people to take difficult, inefficient looks. So right there is just, really solid defense. One more clip here. I think this one might be dating back to your junior year. You miss a corner 3 here, which I know is a rarity, but even the best shooters miss, 6 out of 10 of their threes. But what we like to see here is as soon as you miss, you don't, kind of sulk or aren't slow to get back on defense. You're coming from the absolute furthest point from the opposite basket in that corner. And as we let this play, you'll see you absolutely blaze down the court for a chase down block. So I'm going to run this now. See you timing it out, and then you even hit your head on the backboard here, which I'm going to play that back because that's just ridiculous athleticism in the open court. Just ridiculous there. And, that's the kind of play we like to see, both from an effort perspective and your, clear athleticism on display there. Now, lastly, we're going to pop over to a few potential improvement areas on defense. These more so have to do with some of your positioning off ball. So let's start up here. We got another clip against Kansas State. So as you see here, as you come to close out at the top, we'll run that one back again. you're helping out in the paint as you're supposed to, but when you come into your closeout, you kind of hop into it like you see right there. And so now you're a little bit off balance here, and Sneed has the opportunity to take a little bit of advantage of that and gain a step and get cleanly to the rim. So, I mean, you know this, when you break down into your closeout, you want to make sure that you're keeping low and not hopping into it, so you can, you know, be adaptable and move your feet and prevent the guy from being able to gain that step and attacking the closeout. Now, these next few are going to be more so off ball. So you're going to be watching as the play is developing in the background. Your guy's going to be, you know, hanging out in the paint or near the block. And then a lot of these plays are where they're running some sort of floppy or stagger screen action on your man, looking to get your guy, who is usually in these cases a particularly good shooter, an open look. And you're going to see a lot of these types of sets as you know, sets in the NBA, and you know, you could stand to potentially like know that these things are coming and make sure that you're shirt tailing your guy around these screens and taking good angles so that you can recover to them and you know, kind of prevent an easy look from deep. So let's play this one first. Get a little caught behind there, aren't able to make it the whole way back for the closeout, which, you know, not the end of the world. These are tough, you know, these are tough situations to get through. But as you likely move into, you know, earlier in your career, being in a rotation role in the NBA, you're just going to have to make sure that you're consistently engaged in these situations and, you know, being able to read what the offense is doing in these situations. Here, you try to come a little bit high up and around and leave the corner three open there. Ultimately, you know, not a huge glaring weakness by any means, but just something to be mindful of as you're looking to transition into the role in the NBA for whatever team ultimately drafts you.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, on a lot of those floppy actions, I mean, it just takes a split second, and you know, you lose vision of your man. You're a little late on the first screen, and the second guy can move a little bit more, and that creates more separation. And then it doesn't matter how good your extend or your pinch is, you're going to be late. So it's all about attention to detail and awareness.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, a lot of that stems from good intentions too, and trying to maintain your help principles, right? Like you're trying to be in the paint, preventing some of these other actions from happening. And then their secondary aspect of their set is getting into that floppy or getting into that stagger. So, you know, some of that will come with more experience. And as you get used to seeing those a lot in the NBA, I have no doubt that, you know, you're a smart kid. You'll figure that out. You consistently give effort on defense. Don't foresee that being a problem at the next level at all. All right. So I think that wraps up the game film portion of this. And before we wrap up here, I think you're a hell of a player. You're destined for a long, successful NBA career. But before we sign off, wanted to give you a chance to express to NBA front offices, who is Desmond Bane and what can they expect from you if they're to bring you into their organization?
I mean, you're going to get a consistent, hard-working, great teammate. I mean, I'm a come in with the same attitude every day to get better and, you know, enjoy what I do. I'm always going to be there for my teammates, regardless if, you know, I'm playing, if I got a G League assignment, if I'm playing 20 minutes, whatever my role may be, I'm going to be there wholeheartedly for sure. I mean, I'm excited to, you know, get to work and be able to showcase my talents throughout this pre-draft process, hopefully. But if not, hopefully there's enough film to make somebody fall in love with me.
All right, Desmond, thanks for joining. Congratulations on what's ahead for you. Really excited to see how your career plays out, and stay safe out there during these uncertain times.
Thank you, brother.